Fall session at the Illinois Statehouse continuing today. Not much activity yesterday, but we've got committees, we've got news conferences, and some expected action on the floor of each of the House and Senate. We'll be watching it at thecentersquare.com. Be sure to wake up with the newsletter each and every weekday morning for the latest headlines. And also, be sure to wake up with us here with Illinois in Focus daily to do a deep dive into some of these things. So what are legislators looking to do today? Well, they've got a House Elementary and Secondary Education Committee on Administration, Licensing, and Charter Schools that's set to meet in Springfield. What they're expected to discuss is, student-athlete transfer policies. So if you've got a student-athlete looking to transfer to another school, interesting to see how that may affect you. Of course, it's just a subject matter hearing, so we'll see what kind of discussions they have there. Then this morning, you've got state representatives with the Illinois Freedom Caucus. They're going to be holding a news conference later on to discuss the state's budget issues. If you recall, several weeks ago, the Office of Management and Budget from the governor's office, they released a report, 5-year projection, saying the state of Illinois is going to see a $3 billion plus deficit for the next fiscal year, and then another $3 or $4 billion after that the following year, and then up to 2030 for the 3 years prior, having $5 billion budget deficits. Total budget deficits over the 5-year projection, $22.2 billion, while the state looks to spend another $10 billion more by 2030. So the Freedom Caucus, a group of Republicans from across the state, including State Representative Brad Halbrook, State Representative Chris Miller, a variety of others, and I think they just added State Senator Andrew Chesney to that list of the Freedom Caucus. So we'll be talking about that today. Also today, you've got State Representatives David Freese, Bill Howder, and Charlie Meyer. They're set to discuss the exposure of individuals in Illinois' prison system to dangerous drugs. We talked with State Representative Adam Niemerg about this a few weeks ago. He was set to take a tour of Illinois prison facilities to delve into the issues they're hearing from staff, that drugs are being laced on paper and that paper correspondence is getting into prisons, and the exposure to staff and inmates is dangerous. So we'll hear from the representatives about that as well. But then you've got the House Executive Committee. They're going to be holding a hearing on a couple of different Senate bills in the Illinois House where things are going to be gutted and replaced. So Senate Bill 688, carried by State Representative Jennifer Gahn Gershowitz out of Glenview, a Democrat, it's a gut and replace, and it impacts fees that are paid by private detectives, security, locksmiths, and fingerprint vendors. So gutting and replacing a bill to deal with fines, or not fines, but rather fees. I think like a $5 fee per client or something to that effect. Meanwhile, the House Executive Committee going to take up Senate Bill 3410, carried by State Representative Jay Hoffman. It is also a gut and replace bill, impacting a variety of acts, like the Illinois Commission on LGBTQ Aging. Apparently, they had a report due the March of 2023, and the changes in the law would essentially say that they're set to produce another report. So we'll see what that does. But it's not the only thing that Hoffman's legislation, gutting and replacing a bill, does. It also changes things in the Reimagined Public Safety Act, which was a large criminal justice reform bill, and a whole bunch of other changes to other acts as well, like, for instance, going through some park executive legislation. I was just pouring through this at 5 o'clock this morning. But a bunch of changes to, change a word him to individual, and you see that type of thing all over the place. So in a way, trying to get rid of some gendered language. But interesting to see a whole host of different acts impacted by this omnibus bill that Representative Hoffman's bringing to gut and replace a Senate bill in the House. Then midday, you've got the House on the floor and the Senate's going to be on the floor. At 1 o'clock, you've got a Senate Executive Committee hearing. There's two bills in there. One would rename the Illinois Emergency Management Agency to the Illinois Emergency Management Agency and Office of Homeland Security, IEMA OHS. And it includes responsibilities with respect to nuclear and radiation safety. It also creates new cabinet-level positions And then you have Senate President Don Harmon. He has a bill that would impact wages for employees with disabilities. Not the only thing going to be discussed at the state capitol today dealing with wages. You've got local activists in the labor community. They're going to be in Springfield Wednesday to push for the end of tipped wages. The One Fair Wage Group says legislators need to rally against the incoming Trump administration. The event that they plan includes a holiday turkey giveaway at a Springfield church. Now, they're pushing for the states to end tipped wages. Illinois' minimum wage is going to go up to $15 an hour, as is the tipped wage, which is less than the minimum wage. But that's because if you make a tipped wage, you get paid tips. And Republicans at the Statehouse, they say that the state needs to make way for the possibility of no tips on taxes, which is a campaign pledge from President-elect Donald Trump. So clearly some interesting contrast to the things you're going to be hearing coming out of the Illinois Statehouse today. Get to thecentersquare.com and be sure to stay up to date with what's going on with the latest headlines. And again, wake up with us here each and every weekday morning for Illinois in Focus Daily, breaking down things happening impacting you, the taxpayer. So much more to come here each and every weekday morning with Illinois in Focus Daily.